Shalom, shalom. We're here with Janette and her amazing codes presentation on YaHuW'A, the BeN, the Son of YaHuWaH. So let's give Janette the floor here.
Okay, shalom everyone. Thank you for joining us. Let's just get everything out of the way so I can read the screen. Okay, so as you can see, YaShuW'A, BeN YaHuWaH, YaShuW'A, Son of YaHuWaH. And as you'll see, when we get to the code table, there's plenty of codes relating to the shroud of Turin. Okay, so let's get into it. So the table is a Torah code, and it's in Genesis 5:30 to Genesis 10:16. So it's quite short, only 5 books, and the equal letter spacing is 278. So it's a tight little code. So if I start off by reading Isaiah 53, which tells us years and years in advance, it's a prophecy as to the coming Mashiach, the coming Messiah. And it says, "Who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of YaHuWaH revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and knowing sickness, and as one from whom the face is hidden, being despised, and we did not consider him. Truly he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains. Yet we reckoned him stricken, smitten by Elohim and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our crookedness. The chastisement of our peace, our shalom, was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all, like sheep, went astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way, and YaHuWaH has laid on him the crookedness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, but he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and as for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from the land of the living? For the transgression of my people he was stricken, and he was appointed a grave with the wrong, and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. But YaHuWaH was pleased to crush him. He laid sickness on him, that when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed, he would prolong his days, and the pleasure of YaHuWaH prosper in his hand. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, and he bears their crookedness. Therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death, and he was counted with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Now, in that book, there's quite a few words that you'll see turn up in the code table. One being poured out, being he poured out his being. So, the shroud of Turin. What is the shroud of Turin? also known as the Holy Shroud, is a length of linen cloth that bears the faint image of the front and back of a man. It has been venerated for centuries, especially by members of the Catholic Church, as the actual burial shroud used to wrap the body of Y'ShuW'A of Nazareth after his crucifixion, and upon which Y'ShuW'A's bodily image is miraculously imprinted. The human image on the shroud can be discerned more clearly in a black and white photographic negative than in its natural sepia colour. An effect was discovered in 1898 by Secondo Pia, who produced the first photographs of the shroud. And this gentleman is Barry Schwartz, and should you wish, you will find him on YouTube. He's done many videos to show his work. He's Jewish, and he came into studying the shroud as a non-believer in Y'ShuW'A. And by the end of the scientific studies, he became a believer, which I think is fantastic. So these pictures are by Barry in his collection. So there's plenty of wonderful info that you can find should you wish. So here he is again, the Shroud of Turin, the official documenting photographer, Barry Schwartz. Okay, and this gentleman, we'll see more of him in a moment. CSI comes to the shroud. Tests have been done on it using microscopic photography. So this is that gentleman. Let's just move this out of the way. Dr. Fanti, mechanical engineer. Fanti's alternative dating technique relies on a combination of Raman and infrared spectroscopy and mechanical textile breaking parameters. The results indicate a midpoint average of 50 AD plus or minus 200 years with a 96% confidence level. The average of all these dates is 33 BC plus 250 years. So that's that narrowed down. So all three tests yield a date in the range of the death of Y'ShuW'A. So we have 33 BC, 250 years either way. So from the evidence of the bloodstains alone, this is clearly not a human forgery. And that's Professor J. Malcolm Cameron, Professor of Forensic Medicine, and Ray Rogers, expert chemist. The fibrils on shroud fabric have severe electromagnetic radiation damage, the same level of electromagnetic radiation damage as the Dead Sea Scrolls that we know are over 2,000 years old. The shroud and the Dead Sea Scrolls must be relatively the same age. Dr. Edward A. Brucker, MS, Chief Deputy Medical Examiner. The puncture wound on the side shows that the individual continued to bleed after death. One can readily see the separation of the serous fluid from the cellular component. And Dr. Alan Adler says that means that the red stuff on the shroud is emphatically and without any reservation nothing else but blood. He's a professor of chemistry. Dr. Herman, I'm not sure how you pronounce this name, please forgive me, radiologist, Germany. The shroud was used to enshroud a corpse, and the image is the result of some form of interaction between body and cloth and does not derive from the use of paint, powder, acid, or other materials which could have been used to create an image. Okay, so this is a larger image, the negative image, and there you can see quite clearly the wound on the side, the way the blood trickled up the arms. And when he was hanging on the cross, you can see the marks from the crown of thorns, and you can see all of the lacerations from the scourging and the whipping and the beating, and his poor face was all puffy-eyed, nose bruised, some of his beard was ripped out. Absolutely horrific what he went through for us. And again, I don't know if you can see that any more clearly, the picture of the crown of thorns, but this has got the blood more highlighted. This is the back image, and it shows you the blood pooling underneath onto the shroud, because a lot of the bleeding happened post-mortem, like after death. This is a picture of a 1st century Roman lancia, and it measures 4 centimetres. The side wound on the shroud, which has blood and lung fluid on it, is also 4 centimetres, so that matches up with the correct time. These flowers, pollen and remnants of these flowers, among others, were found on the shroud, and the coins, like the one pictured here, were placed over both eyes of the shroud man, and they were minted during the Pontius Pilate reign. So again, that puts the shroud at the right time. So 34 trillion watts. Can you imagine that? Wow. Because that's how much light emitted in a split second from inside a whipped, crucified corpse to burn its image into the shroud of Turin. At the time of conception, scientists found there's a flash of light when the sperm actually enters the ovum or the egg, and that is when the spark of life, that's when it's not just cells, that's when there is actual life. The life force enters in, and as it says in Romans 8, and if the ruach of him who raised Y'ShuW'A from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Messiah from the dead shall also give life to your mortal bodies through his ruach dwelling in you. Amen. Now, in John 20, we're going to get on to the exciting part now. And stooping down, he saw, it was John and Simon Peter, Shimon Peter, and Johann and John. And it starts at number 5 to number 10 here, John 20. And stooping down, he saw the linen wrappings lying, but he did not go in. Then Shimon Kepha came, following him, and went into the tomb, and he saw the linen wrappings lying, and the cloth which had been on his head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but folded up in a place by itself. So then the other taught one, who came to the tomb first, also went in, and he saw and believed. He saw this cloth folded up in a place by itself, and he believed. For they did not yet know the scripture, that he has to rise again from the dead. Therefore the taught ones went away again by themselves. So why did they believe? Because in order to understand the significance of the folded napkin, we have to understand a little bit about Hebrew tradition of that day. The folded napkin had to do with the master and the servant, and every Jewish boy knew this tradition. When the servant set the dinner table for the master, he made sure that it was exactly the way the master wanted it. The table was furnished perfectly, and then the servant would wait just out of sight until the master had finished eating. The servant would not dare touch that table until the master was finished. Now, if the master had finished eating, he would rise from the table, wipe his fingers, his mouth, and clean his beard, and would wad up the napkin and toss it onto the table. The servant would then know to clear the table, for in those days the wadded napkin meant I'm done. But if the master got up from the table and folded his napkin and laid it aside his plate, the servant would not dare touch the table, because the servant knew that the folded napkin meant I'm not finished yet. The folded napkin meant I'm coming back. So in Jewish culture, a knotted cloth means I am finished, and a folded cloth means I am coming again. Y'ShuW'A is not finished. He's coming back. That was the sign that he left, that the disciples knew when they saw it. So Revelation 1:18, I am living forever and ever. Amen. And I possess the keys of the grave and of death. John 11:25. Yahushua said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he dies, he shall live. And everyone that is living and believing in me shall never die at all. Do you believe this? So we're coming to the table now. I was prompted to find in the access term a complete YShuW'A, is YShuW'A, BeN, YaHuWaH. But I couldn't find it as one complete vertical line. So in the red is the actual BeN YaHuWaH, and that's what I used as the access term, with YShuW'A as a secondary word find. So I went through searching through many tables. When I came to this one, I saw the word YShuW'A was actually above BeN YaHuWaH. So I was nearly there, but it's got the resh there in the middle. So I thought, well, what does this line mean then? This, I knew I was onto something quite exciting. So with the wa and the aleph here, down to the hay in the BeN YeshuW'A, it says, and YeshuW'A is the son of YaHuWaH. So I thought, yeah, wonderful. So now what does this bit mean as well down here? So I put it all in with the resh bet noon, this bit, resh bet noon, as a whole word. It's a separate word, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But the whole from the top, the wa to the resh to the bottom, this with the resh bet noon, it says, yes, YeshuW'A is the Lord of YaHuWaH, the crown of the generation. And with a space, which I know it wouldn't have, but just to try it, it says, and YeshuW'A, the son of YaHuWaH, is the crown of the generation. So I thought that was absolutely wonderful. YeshuW'A, BeN YaHuWaH, the crown of the generation. Okay, so here's the table. Let's see where I can put this so it's out of the way. I've showed you that it's in Genesis. It's a lovely little Torah code. of 278 skip. So this is the vertical line with the whole of that sentence, and inside this same vertical line we've got arbitrator with the gold letters and the black circles, and also in the line next to it we've got arbitrator again there, the bet, wa, resh, resh there. Okay. Next to the access term here in the green, we've got was sent. And in the turquoise, we've got and my blood. Okay. And in this green here, I know it's only 3 letters, but it was important. It's to mark, to engrave, and stain. So it's stain. And I took the liberty, just out of curiosity, my own curiosity. I know blood is only a 2-letter word, sorry, but it shares the mem with stain here, blood stain. So that's blood with the red circles. And again here, stained, it's got here this time with an aleph. So aleph, kaf, ta, mem. And again, it's got blood with the mem sharing the stained. But here we've got linen, word for linen, the bet Dalek yod mem. And look what's inside linen. We've got blood again. The Dalek mem is actually part of the word linen. So blood on the linen. This here in the blue with the purple circles, reconcile, appease, placate with the pay yod samek, and it's actually as pay yod samek yod, which means physical. So it's like physical evidence of this blood and water. Here we've got will be poured out. It was poured out. Here in this blue. In this red, here we've got exalt, lift up, and it's also aloud. It's like shouting aloud the evidence. Here's a wonderful word as well. It's a modern word. It was in Google Translate. Infusion, transfusion. The cloth was infused with the blood and the water. Here in the pink, divine inspiration, vital breath, spirit. Now, usually for spirit we have ruach, but this is a different spelling. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sure one of the sisters will let us know. Darla will let us know. Heir, heiress, inherit. I mean, that's us. We're heirs and heiresses, inheritors. Here we've got tabernacle, dwellings. Our bodies are the dwelling places for the ruach, for the spirit, for the breath, his breath. From womb, he says he made us, he knit us together in our mother's womb. He knew us before we were in our mother's womb. And it also means feeling sorry. Y'ShuW'A was very sorrowful before he was crucified, before he was taken to be before the Pharisees, and he knew what was to come, and he did it willingly. He could have stopped it at any time, but he went through it for us. This is the word magnificence and immenseness. And to me, that's what the shroud is. It's like a testimony, a living testimony. That's his way of saying he's coming back, his receipt. Here in the purple is pollen powder, because pollen from those flowers and from sort of plants from around Israel and Jerusalem were on the shroud, on the cloth. Again, we've got stain there. Oh yeah, there's a good word. Here in this pink, we've got authorization cleared, the kosher. I mean, when someone says kosher, you know they're talking that it is validation. He's a validated kosher arbitrator. There's arbitrator, and it's in with arbitrator. No, I think YaHuWa's stamp is all over this. And look at this image, photo, film. His image was only showed up on a photograph. He was waiting for the days for cameras to be invented and for people to see the image appear on the negative. We've got Mashiach, anointed one. Here, this was a late find for me. My myrrh was also on the cloth. I did look for aloes, but I couldn't find aloes. That's just my name there. We got bruised and beaten, pawned, pledged. So that word means all of those things. And they are all fitting words for this table and for the work that was done. In code, yes. Yep. Here it is in the codes. The remnant here in the pink. There's the remnant. And here we have in the green, sorry, your hand. And here in this turquoise, we've got shining light. And it was the light that was emitted that I think put the image onto the shroud. And here, amazement, wonder. Now, when I started to do this table, I did it in all vertical terms, but because of the folded napkin, I wanted to see if that was in there, and it is in there. Here it is, diagonal receipt. There's napkin. Oh, sorry, there's fold, repeat. See, fold, repeat in the black. And in this black, it's receipt. And here, going horizontal, is napkin. So to fold, to repeat, he's coming back. We folded the napkin, that's his receipt. So where I've got like the orange star, there you've got, and my blood and water will be poured out, and with the yellow stars, shining light, image, photo, film, to mark, engrave, stain, blood on the linen, and blood there in the linen. And stain is also meaning fine gold. Okay, back to that Resh Bet Noon, which I tried it with a space, without a space, and as a whole word there, just those 3 letters, it says, become many, much. My master, teacher, is rabbi. Look at that. Increase. Primitive root, to cast together. Increase, especially in number. To multiply by the myriad. Increase by manyfold. Multiply, 10,000s. Thousands upon 10,000s. Acts 13. For so the Master has commanded us, I have set you to be a light to the Gentiles, that you should be for deliverance to the ends of the earth. Acts 26. And I said, who are you, Master? And he said, I am YaHuW'A, who you persecute, but rise up and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to appoint you a servant and a witness, both of what you saw and of those which I shall reveal to you, delivering you from the people and the Gentiles, to whom I now send you, to open their eyes, to turn them from darkness to light, and the authority of Hasatan to Elohim, in order for them to receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those who are set apart by belief in me. Heirs and heiresses, we're calling you. The shroud is calling you. The evidence is calling you. The codes are calling you. The Father is calling you. So, thank you, Tada, for watching. May YaHuW'A barik you in Yahuwah's name. And this is so right for today, Luke 10:23. And turning to his taught ones, he said separately, Baruch, blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I say to you that many prophets and sovereigns have wished to see what you see and have not seen it, and to hear what you hear and have not heard it. So there we are. That's me. Finished. Any questions?
Thank you, Janette. That's such a beautiful presentation for all of us. I think the word you were asking about was nishmat. It's without vowel points, so I can't tell, but I think that's what I recall. It was nishmat.
Yes. Yeah, it was the pronunciation of it.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, the pink. There we go.
Yes.
Were there any letters that you guys wanted Janette to look at? No, Bonnie's usually got some of the letters that are double linked. I think there was one, Janette, maybe in the linen and the blood. Did those cross?
They don't cross, but the blood is inside the word linen.
Okay, there was blood, and then what was the other 2-letter word? I think it was,
Oh, that was blood, and that was
I
in
forget what the other 2-letter word.
word stain with the mem. The mem was
Hey,
shared.
a mem. Okay, and what was that verse?
We'll have to go to the live table for that.
Okay,
I can't look at it on Canva.
yeah. Seemed like we had maybe looked at that verse and it was pretty profound.
We can do it when I go to the live table when we finished looking.
Okay. And I was glad to see that you found my myrrh. There's one place that shows up in the scriptures.
Yes, only one.
Yeah, Song of Songs 5, verse 1, I think. And he talks about he's gathered his myrrh and his aloes, I think.
Yes. Yeah, Song of Songs.
So he's got my myrrh, my blood. Wow. Just the level of intensity that was used to inject that image onto the linen as well.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Wonderful.
Cannot. And then, so another thing that I think was interesting when we were checking your terms is that the word dom is in bedim linen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there. See those linen? Bet, Dalit, Yod, Mem. And then the Dalit and the Mem is blood. So you've got blood in the linen.
Yeah.
And considering it's vertical as well.
Yeah, Bonnie was saying, I don't know if she can speak, but she was saying always in the chat, always a fascinating topic, the Shroud of Turin. If you have not heard it before, this will be exciting. Yeah, it is very exciting.
Yes. And oh, I forgot here, who am I? It's like asking a question. It's just two words, me and he. Who am I? And then he's answering it in the access term. I'm YaHuWaH, son of YaHuWaH. I'm YaHuWaH, son of YaHuWaH.
Yeah, so amazing. And I really do think that we don't want to discount that resh that you found there, because that is one long string that absolutely makes sense. It's not just a string of letters with a word here, there, and yonder, but that resh is also implied and
Oh, yeah.
very, very manifested in the word Rabban, which
Yes.
had to do with him gathering, right? Increasing and gathering.
Yep. Yeah. Increasing, gathering, teacher.
Yeah, teaching.
Yeah. And it's by myriads, thousands upon thousands, 10,000s. That's what myriad means.
And it's literally prophetic. It's encoded and it's like, this is going to happen. This is happening. So we can believe it. There's so much power there. So much power that he's able to encode his word and watch over his word to perform it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Janette, what was the thing that most stood out to you in all of your hours of study and research here?
Just to look at it, it's because it's mainly vertical. It's just amazing, and the words like image, photo, film, and infusion, and the blood on the linen there, in the linen, the shining light. It's just the way it's all come together. The word there, bruised and beaten and pawned, of course. And, a pawn is a person used by another or others to achieve something. It's a pledge, as it says. It's just so deep.
It is so deep, that whole idea of pledge and he's coming back.
And we also have arbitrator inside this same vertical.
Yeah, that's huge. Oh, that's so huge.
I mean, that a go-between, a judge, a mediator, an arbitrator. I mean, you could just make a whole table nearly out of that vertical
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, in theory, you could have called this table arbitrator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and it looks like rain just being poured down on top of us, raining down on us. And I think
Yeah,
it's the image of the Father raining down his love on us with the Messiah.
yeah.
This because it's so all vertical like that, this would be a brilliant one to recreate in the other program to see what the odds are, because I would imagine they're massive.
That's a good idea, Bonnie. I'd be
Yeah,
interested.
yeah. It's something quick to do, but it would be
Yeah.
very interesting. I mean, that word that you had for ransom, I think that was also, no, pledge. It was also ransom, which really, really fits the topic as well.
Yeah.
Well, it would, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, we love the vertical terms. That's awesome.
And I love napkin and fold and receipt. He's coming back.
Yeah.
Y'ShuW'A BeN YaHuWaH, the Son of YaHuWaH, he's coming back.
It's just a beautiful, and amazement, wonder is exactly what this is. An amazement, a wonder, a miracle. It's evidence. It's evidence that's been preserved for like 2,000 years. So amazing.
Yeah,
It continues to speak the truth and bear witness of the Messiah.
yeah,
Just profound.
yeah. And the image also shows up as a 3D thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, you know, and paintings or anything that man has made doesn't do that. You know, I mean, I could have done a 2-hour presentation just on the shroud without dealing with the code, but I wanted the code and the evidence that's in this code table to show you in the slides that the two match up. But there's so much out there, and I would say to anyone whose sort of light has come on by seeing this and wants to know more, there is so much that Barry Schwartz has done, lots of lovely videos on the shroud and on his work, as of many others. You'll see some things that say it's a fake and this, that, and the other, but they can't tell you how it's done. They've tried to recreate it and they can't, you know. And the actual threads I saw somewhere, but I couldn't find the information on it again, or I would have made a slide. But the actual threads on the fabric, the stain of it is only one fibre in depth. And you can't do that. Man cannot do that. It's impossible. If you did a painting on a cloth, it would penetrate more than one fibre depth.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
and I can't, if I find the video, I will put a link somewhere.
Yeah.
I know I've seen that, and that actually blew me away. This was a few years ago that I saw that. I just have to find the actual presentation that whoever did it and put it out there. I have to find it again, but I know that blew me away because I do painting, and I do know how hard that would be to recreate something, you know, that's anatomically correct in that way, with
Yeah.
real blood and real lung fluid, you know, in the right places, and the clots, blood. I do have a slide that tells you forensically what he went through, the wounds, and how he died, how painful his death must have been. But I thought, no, I won't show you. If you want to know, you know, you can know. Watch The Passion. that will give you a good idea. I mean, that
Yeah.
you can't watch that without weeping and sobbing and knowing how much we owe him.
That's right. Just it's brutal. It's brutal to see the demonstration of what he went through.
Yeah.
So Janette, are you going to go to the live table then?
Yeah, sure. Okay, if you finished.
Yeah.
I have to stop share, don't I, for a minute?
Yeah, so the scripture where the linen is, the badim, where does that one occur?
Okay. Can you see the table?
Yes.
Lovely. Come on, out of the way. There we are. You can't see these boxes that I'm moving around.
There we
Okay.
go. Yeah.
So here is Badim. So it's the Bet, Dalit, Yod, Mem, and there's blood, the Dalit and the Mem. Okay. Now, because it's such a small table, it's quite repetitive, the verses that are in here. A lot
So
of it.
that phrase, by the way, is just that one couple of table of codes there. It's so profound to me because it's like saying blood is in the linen.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. So the bet for linen or blood is Genesis 7:11, and it's in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month. The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open.
Wow, that just gives me goosebumps.
And
That's so huge. I think that's so Ramsel motivated. That's a Ramsel code there. It's just very deep. You have to kind of really meditate on that verse and what it has to do with the Messiah's blood right under the linen. Ah, it's deep.
yeah, yeah. And the Dalit is Genesis 7:21. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of bird and of cattle and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man.
Wow. That's huge.
And the Yod is Genesis 8:9. But the dove found no rest for the sole of its foot, and she returned to him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her into the ark.
Wow, I just think that's so huge. It's really deep.
And the Mem, that's in linen and blood, is Genesis 8:20. And Noah built an altar to YaHuW'A and took of every clean beast and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar.
Like, I really think you don't even have to do anything else.
Yeah.
So amazing. Just the verses under that one term.
Yes, yes.
Gosh,
Wow. Like I say,
so
lots
amazing.
of it is repetitive. Let's have a look at a couple that are in the actual access term. So if we look at the YaHuW'A at the top here, And this is Genesis 5:31. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. 777. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
116. Vertical is the het there. And it's Genesis 8:4. And the ark rested, I've said this one already, in the 7th month, on the 7th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. Again, we've got 7 and 7, 17th and 7th. They had Lamech, his years, and now we've got 7 and 17th. There's lots of 7s showing up in these verses. And then Shin, the Shin here. And this is in the word Mashiach. I'm looking. So Genesis 9:15. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Covenant.
Janette,
And
I want to know what's under that resh. That besides the blood in the linen, the letter that stood out most in your table to me
yeah,
was that resh.
there we are. It'll probably be the same as that bet was in
Yeah, it certainly.
Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same were all fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened.
Yes. It's such a small little area, isn't it? Genesis 5, probably towards the end of 5 to the middle of Genesis 10. What a small table area.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful. Does anybody else have anything they want Janette to look up?
Tessa, are you there?
Tessa from Australia, are you there? Tessa didn't make it with us today.
No. Never mind.
Yeah, just such a beautiful table, Janette. I'm just blown away by the blood in the linen
Yeah.
and all the this is really deep sewed kind of, oh, how does that apply to the Messiah? Kind of thinking. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Definitely a message for our time.
We appreciate all your hard work on this table.
It's my pleasure, and it's YaHuW'A as well, for it to go out there. I love doing this. If anybody's watching and they would like, you feel you're led to see if you can come and search codes and study the Hebrew, come. We'd love to have you. We need more of us.
Yeah, and we are so thankful that you and Bonnie are searching, and we miss our sister Terry. We just miss her energy and her.
Yeah.
We're thankful that we know that she's with the Father, and but we're so happy to have you, Janette and Bonnie, to carry on this important codes work for the Father. It's a calling, and you sisters have certainly put in your time into learning these skills, and Your work just shines, and it's so you guys put yourselves out there in front of your this core group to have your work gone over and just checked before you put it out to the world. And so there's so much work that's involved here, even the research that you put into the subject so that you can present it to the world in a way that is consumable for somebody who hasn't really looked into the Shroud of Turin too much. But also that you you let them know, hey, there's other rabbit trails you could go down, but I'm bringing you a source that is credible. He is, after all, the official photographer of the Shroud of Turin, by the way. So I mean, it's a lot of work you guys put into the table. So
A lot of it is
we are all appreciative.
Oh, thank you to our sister. A lot of it is things that I've learned along the way and sort of kind of forgotten. And it's as though it was put in me for this time to do this work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I'm glad you sort of say you feel a light come off it, because I feel that, and that is nothing to do with me. You know, when I'm working on the codes, I feel a power, I feel a light, I feel that I'm getting in a zone, and I feel like I've said it before, that I'm on holy ground, kadosh ground, you know, that I'm not worthy, but he's invited me to do this, to bring it out there for people. That's why I'd like to do a presentation. I could just show the code, but I feel I should tell you the background and invite you to know a bit about the subject, and it comes alive, I hope.
Yeah, it really does. And just the awe of the power that was used to inscribe this picture onto this image onto the linen. So yeah, just and then it's lasted all this time.
Yes.
Like if they have a copy of the scriptures, and air gets to it in any way, it's only going to be around about 350 years, which is why the scribes kept copying new versions or new copies of it. But this is something that stood the test of time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love what you said, Jan, about how the prophets of old, will look forward to relish for what we have to reveal in the last times. And it's like, yeah, the invention of photography and the technology to look at this in the way that it's been looked at, radiography, was it, or something?
Photography.
X-ray sort of ideas, yeah. And again, the Bible codes too, it's like it's got to be a wonder to them. And it's like, yes. We often read the scriptures and we go, we're wondered, we're completely floored by what they saw and what they knew. But imagine it reversed. It's like, wow, look what they're getting up to in these times. It's like, it's a great thought anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's an honor, Bonnie, isn't it, to when we
for sure
and came across.
There's a sense of revelation. It's revelation, and the Ramsel, you've got to find scriptures in there, in the surface text that meld with your story. And we've told people that before, and that's an important part of it.
Yeah. I mean,
the longer you can sit and do the Bible codes for, the more you get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, we
but
came
unfortunately, we'll just never get paid for our labour this side of the end of time. But that's okay. We're here to do it anyway because we just love the privilege.
Yes. And we're walking in the footsteps. We're carrying on the baton of the likes of Yaakov Ramsel, who did it with a pen and paper. you know.
Yes. Yes.
And it's an honor. It's an absolute privilege and an honor, and it humbles me, you know. It makes me so aware of how great and awesome our Creator, our Father, how loving He is, how He doesn't want anyone to be lost, how He wants His children, His lost sheep, that the Gentiles, everybody, Jew, Greek, we're all to become one stick in His hand, everyone. He wants nobody to be lost. And if I can be a part of the work that goes out into the world to bring people back to Him, for people's eyes to be open, their ears to be open, their hearts to be open, then it's just awesome and wonderful.
I want to take just a moment to thank Sherry and Bonnie for being in the chat today, and also to just say Karina and Sarah and Leo. We are very happy that you were here with us today.
Leo, shalom. Shalom, Leo.
Oh, there we go. Very beautiful. We thank you so much, Janette, and I'm going to go ahead and end our stream here so we can keep it kind of around an hour today. And we ask that YaHuW'A be with each of you, and that you have the rest of your beautiful week, and just give all esteem to the Father, because the blood is in the linen. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, you guys, shalom. Have a great and beautiful day.
Shalom.
All right, we should be done.